So I've been using AI to help me code for a while now, and Cursor has become my primary tool for that. However, over the last few months, there have been a number of other tools like V0, Replit Agents, and Bolt.new that have come up that are supposed to be cursor killers and supposed to help you code even faster and just like build entire applications from scratch. So I wanted to see what the buzz is all about and if they actually managed to do all of that. So I'm going to be building the same app using all of these different tools to compare how they work, how they respond to different changes. I'll also take a look at the pricing and then give a recommendation for when you might use one or the other and how they all compare. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Starting out with Bolt. The application I want to build is a basic blogging platform, and this is the prompt that I'm going to use. Please build a Next.js blogging platform. I should be able to write posts, edit them, and save them. Then I should be able to see my posts. And I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And then we're going to go over into V0 and put in the same prompt. Now for Replit, I actually have to sign up for it. So with Bolt and V0, they do have a free tier, so I could just put in the prompt. But for Replit, I did have to sign up. So let's go ahead and submit that. And let's take a look over here. So going to Bolt, we got something super basic here. We got a button, view all posts. Let's see, we'll take a look at the code that it generated. So obviously it did create a bunch of these different files. And let's try to write a new post. Okay, so initially it fails, but there's this potential problem detected. Okay, so there's some kind of import that it doesn't have. Let's go ahead and try to fix the problem and just see if that works. Okay, so it's automatically trying to correct some of its code, and we see it writing things out directly in this code preview section. It is an interesting kind of UI layout. We have the chat here on the left, and this is almost looks like a VS Code style code preview. And I do like the fact that we can actually preview how it would look in the browser. Then we got the terminal down here as well. That's pretty cool. Okay, so it's updating all of these different files. Okay, the development server has been restarted. Okay, well, I don't see anything here. Okay, there it goes. It loaded. Write a new post. Is anything happening? Where are the logs? Do we have any logs? Well, okay, it's running next dev. I know that can be sometimes slow. Yeah, I think it's taking a while to render the different pages. So it should really use Turbo. We'll ask it to do that in a minute, but my first. Okay, let's try to publish a post. Post has been created, so we got a little toast here. That's kind of cool. And all right, let's see if we click read more. Again, I think some of the loading time is because of Next, but hey, look at that. We got some errors. Potential problems detected. Let's go ahead and try to do this automatic fix problem again. Now keep in mind, as we're going through all of these tools, yes, they are AI code generators and they do different things, but under the hood, all of them are using the same AI models to actually generate the code. So Claude Sonnet 3.5 is really the best-in-class coding model right now, and that's what they're using under the hood. They might be doing some prompt engineering to word it a little differently and using some tricks. Obviously, they got the fancy UI sitting on top of that, but the quality of the actual code is likely to be very similar across all of these tools. Okay, well, where did my post go? I don't see my post anymore, and it looks like I'm still getting errors. Cannot use both use client and export function generate static params. So it looks like it's getting a little confused by the Next.js stuff, and honestly, I don't blame it. Okay, we'll try this fix problem again. A little bit hard to see because there's so much like padding and stuff. It's hard to see everything that I need to. Okay, 35K daily tokens remaining. Subscribe to Pro for 66 times more usage. So it seems like I'm starting to already push the platform in terms of what's available in the free tier. And if we look at some of the code here, it's giving us stuff like this. In a real world scenario, it would fetch this data from an API or a database. So, it's not creating those integrations for us right now. I could probably explain for it to do that. So let's try to actually make that happen. Let's ask it to store the post in a real database. We'll use SQLite. Yeah, but where is the SQLite supposed to be deployed? Wow, we got a lot of dependencies for this app. One thing I notice here is that it's rewriting all of the code from scratch, like every time pretty much. So all of these files, it's just starting at the beginning and rewriting them. It's not doing this kind of diff compare sort of thing that you would see in Cursor. It's just writing the whole thing. You might encounter issues running this in certain environments like Vercel and other serverless platforms. Okay. Okay, so now the blog post creation doesn't work. Let's take a look. What is the error? And it's not detecting it anymore, and I've used up all of my remaining tokens, unfortunately. Okay, there's some bindings file. It can't find the right modules. And I will say this also about Bolt. I've tried it before, and I ran into an issue where it was just copying all of the code directly from Claude's output into these files. So things like ... rest of the code remains the same. I was seeing these issues. And what's kind of concerning is that I built this project, but now when I go to the conversation history, I don't see any of the previous chat that I actually had on this platform. So it's not really looking very stable or reliable at this point. So let's take a look at some of these other platforms and see if they do any better. Okay, flipping over to V0. Let's see, it created a bunch of different files for us. Why can't I preview this? What is wrong with that? Okay, so I'm looking at V0 and it's like chatgpt gave me a bunch of these files. I guess I can click and okay, I can see them one at a time. I see how it goes. Okay, so there isn't like a file viewer. I can't see all of the different files in my project. But I can go through and see the code for some of these, and then I guess if I go here, okay, there is the actual file. Now we have an error. So similar to Bolt, I guess I can try to fix it. It'll just put this text into the prompt. Let's just see what happens when I submit that. Okay, so it's writing a new version of the blog page file. Okay, it still has the same exact error. Okay, so now I'm viewing V2, the second version of this, but now it's just stuck loading. Also, because we don't have like a file view, a file structure, as far as I can tell, I don't know what version all of these different files are, because like my application isn't just going to be one file that contains everything. I'm going to have to be able to see across my different files, right? Because if I want to iterate on this code, I'm going to have to modify things, and it modified some of them but not others. How am I going to find what my actual code is right now? Okay, now this little preview looks like it's just kind of stuck. This is the route, which doesn't have a preview, and this is version 3 of the blog page, but it just is stuck loading. And where's my code? Let's take a look at the code and see if we can actually figure out what is wrong. Like, where is that error coming from? Is there a terminal? That's not what I mean. What? No, I didn't want to fork that. Wait, how do I go back? How do I go back to the not fork version of? Okay, no, I didn't want to hide the entire thing. Okay, wait, what does this book thing do? These are my previous chats. Okay, this is a fork of this chat. Okay, I can download this code. Okay, so my big issue with V0 right now is that I don't see a file structure. So I have no idea how to troubleshoot my code or where to go. I can't find a terminal either where it should be throwing errors. So how do I troubleshoot this? Like, can I adjust this on my own? Okay, I can, but where is the console? Okay, where's the console? I want to troubleshoot this code. Is there a way to see a file structure across the project? Okay, it's telling me about inspect. I do wonder, actually. That'd be kind of funny if it was forwarding all of that. Yeah, I don't think so. If you're using Visual Studio Code. So as I was saying, like, these tools are just using Claude under the hood, so they don't even realize that I'm using V0. It's saying if I'm using Visual Studio Code, you know, I should do something else. I can't see it in the sidebar because it's not where I am. So I can't see the files. I can't see the terminal or the console where I could even troubleshoot this error. So there's really no way for me to figure out where things are going wrong and how to fix them. So I'm entirely relying on the AI to do this for me. And now after a couple of iterations, I'm still getting the same error, or actually it's worse. I don't even see a blog creation screen. So this becomes just really difficult to manage. I mean, for even a basic project. Let's go ahead and move on to Replit. All right, so for Replit, it looks like it created a list of these different things that it wants to do to implement. Sure, why not? We'll implement all of the features. Approve and start. Okay, so first thing right off the bat, we do have a file structure here, which is definitely a leg up from V0. Now it's creating these files. All right, I said Next.js. Why is it creating app.py? Perhaps, okay, I see. Next.js is not supported in our current environment. Okay, so I guess it's going to build my blogging platform using Flask and Vanilla.js. This is another thing to consider with some of these tools. They're going to have things that they are set up to do well and things they're not set up to do. So V0 is by Vercel, and they are all about Next.js, so that's what you're going to be able to create here, whereas Replit doesn't have support for that. So if you're using one of these AI agent platforms, you may get kind of stuck in a certain set of technology, which is not always a bad thing, but it does limit the types of things that you can do. All right, so looks like Replit created a super basic outline for us. Let's create a new blog post. I mean, hey, this is the best of the three so far. Okay, let's see if create post. Hey, okay, all right. So we do have this view here. How do I create a new post? Okay, I can go down here. Let's create another post. All right, so with Replit, it actually managed to create these. Looks like the rendering isn't perfect. Like my new lines got screwed up, but hey, at least it works, and it works right out of the box. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's not using Next.js though, which was kind of part of my requirement there, but it is at least working. Let's try to delete. Are you sure you want to delete? Yeah. Okay. Hey, look at that. Now let's try to add a feature here. Let's add the ability to upload an image and associate it with the blog post. I'm curious if it's going to rewrite all of these files or if there's going to be diffs. Okay, it looks like it's installing some packages. This is pretty cool. So I can actually see the diffs as I go through these files. So that's nice. You can at least see what changes it made. It's not writing the files completely from scratch like some of the other tools. Okay, but it's still working on it, so it's taking a little while. Why is it installing Flask Migrate? What does that do? Okay, looks like it's getting some errors when it's trying to start up the code now. So we'll get to see if it can resolve them or if we'll have to jump in. What's interesting here is that it's automatically detecting the errors and then it's trying to resolve them instead of just showing us some broken website like the other apps. All right, still having a problem connecting. Okay, so it looks like it's stuck in some sort of loop where it's presented the results to the user. Okay, I'm trying to maybe tag a file because it looks like there's an issue in app.py, and it doesn't seem like I'm able to tag a file. I copy pasted the error, and we're gonna see if it can fix it. Maybe it's an app.js, maybe we broke the app when we tried to add images. It appears the database wasn't properly updated when we added the image functionality. Okay. I'm going to have our team run the necessary database migration commands to fix this? I don't think we're migrating any sort of database, so what? There's a lot of AI influencers which will tell you that all of these tools are killing Cursor, and you know, from my experience, that just doesn't really make a lot of sense, because every time I use one of these AI agents, stuff like this happens. Like it breaks down, there's no clear way to intervene or fix it. And then, you know, the one time that it has a flashy demo video that gets posted online and everybody freaks out. Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely think AI has a huge role to play in software development, and these sort of agents are going to continue to get a lot better and be able to handle larger tasks on their own. We're just not at that point yet. And the thing that we got to keep in mind as we develop tools like this is that they need to really extend the human intention behind the code that we're writing. And they need to allow the human to be able to go in and modify things and really direct the AI in the correct direction. Let's see, if I send a message in the middle of it thinking, I guess it kind of interrupts it. And I said, okay, no, I guess it's still working on that thing. Okay, now it just saw my message. We shouldn't be migrating anything. Let's see if it responds to that. I guess I'm responding to this message. The one cool thing I have seen about Replit is that when you can get it working, you can actually host it here, and they have underlying services that allow you to store the data in a database and, you know, have your backend hosted as well. So my understanding is that there is a very smooth kind of developer experience when you get this code working. Okay, so now it looks like it got the thing back to functional, and let's try this. All right, let me choose this file and create post. Whoa, look at that. It actually uploaded my file, which is really cool. I wonder where that file is stored. And if I refresh this, if it's going to disappear. No, look at that. It's still there. So I wonder where that file is actually going. Let's see if we can figure that out. Upload folder, static, uploads. Okay, I see. So yeah, I mean, overall, it does work. It's not too bad. It did take me a little bit, but you know, it was okay. Definitely the best of the three, although it wrote it using Python instead of Next.js, which is fine. Let's go ahead and switch over to Cursor. Okay, so here we are in Cursor, empty folder. I'm going to go ahead and ask it to do the same thing. Let's give it the same exact prompt. So we actually want to create the app right here, not in a subfolder. So you'll see that we get a lot more kind of customization with Cursor than we do with the other tools, which is a double-edged sword, because now we have to think about stuff like this, like if I'm going to use TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind, and so Cursor is going to expect you to kind of know some of these coding concepts, or at least push you in the direction for you to learn these things. So we'll just take a lot of those defaults. Now we got a project created. Let's go ahead and apply these different files. Okay. There's this form. All right, got a post list. Page file. Now I tried to use Cursor Composer, which is supposed to allow you to create all of these files all at once, but it failed to mention to create a project in the first place, so it just started creating files for me without all the context of the Next.js app. So that's why I'm going file by file here and creating it from my chat. Okay, let's go ahead and run these commands, and then let's try run dev. Okay, so I should have it running here. Let's see what happens when I go here. My blog posts. Okay, well, that isn't super helpful. Okay, right now when it uploads, I just see a black background and white text saying my blog post. Can you figure out where the issue is? I want to see the rest of the content. I'm going to press Control Enter to make it search across the whole code base to try to fix that problem. Okay, client-side rendering of the post list component. All right. Okay, there's some changes there as well. Okay. Okay. All right, now we got create new post. We got the title and content. All right. So this doesn't look too great, but that's just the coloring and the theme of the app. All right. When I click create post, nothing seems to happen. And it looks like I got this error. Local storage not defined. Okay, let's add to chat. All right, so we got some changes. Let's go ahead and apply those. Okay, now it looks like it's creating these posts. Let me try second post. Okay, cool. So we are actually able to see these posts, and this is coming together pretty quickly. But when I refresh, the posts are all gone. So let's try to iterate on that problem. So I'm gonna go to this page, which looks like it's responsible. This is kind of the starting point of the app, and I'm gonna ask it about why the posts disappear and if it can persist them, and tag the relevant file so that it can focus on the thing that it actually needs to update. Okay, and that looks like it broke the post creation, which is kind of interesting and disappointing. But here's the big difference with Cursor. It's a full code editor, so it has all of the features. I can actually go to the code and I can figure out where things are going wrong. I can look at the terminal and see the errors come up. I can see the browser errors in the console, and I can tag specific files so I can troubleshoot this issue. This is something that's practically impossible in some of those other tools, although Replit did a pretty good job in at least showing me the code and allowing me to modify it. But it did do a lot of thinking, and it took a really long time for it to try to update its code. So the iteration speed with Cursor feels a little bit faster to me. That seems to break the post creation in general. Can you take a different approach? We want to persist the posts after they are created. Okay. Okay, so now the post creation works. If I refresh, now we get to see it work as well. So the iteration speed is just a little bit faster. I can put in that prompt, get a response for a specific file I want to change, and then apply those changes. I don't have to wait for 10 minutes for the agent to rewrite like 10 different files. Now let's go ahead and add the feature to upload an image. I'm going to go to post form, which is where it looks like I do this stuff. All right, so let's see if we select the image, create post. All right, well, we at least see the post here. I don't know where the image went. I could continue to iterate, but I think it would be unfair to some of those other apps for me to get this involved with Cursor. So it was able to create something. It did have errors. It was in some ways similar to those other platforms, but the big difference is that I could go in and troubleshoot things on my own. I could see the logs, I could modify specific files, and I had full control over the situation. With some of these other platforms, it becomes a little bit difficult to troubleshoot things. I want to note that none of these platforms out of the box created something incredible. It was just a very simple minimal app, and in all cases except the Replit agent, it failed to work on the first try. So although these tools are getting better, there's still a lot of problems, and it still takes a lot of knowledge to be able to use them properly. Now, in terms of pricing, V0 and Bolt, which is by StackBlitz, start out with a free tier, but I ran out of credits for those tools during this demo, so it's not like you get a lot. And with Vercel, they get a little tricky with pricing, because if you scroll down here, it says, how much do I get? I just ran out of messages. How can I keep chatting? And it says go to the subscription, but then in the subscription it has credits, and this is deprecated, but nowhere does it say how many messages you get. It's super confusing, and to be honest, that's the sort of stuff that Vercel does. It just makes it look free until suddenly you're paying a bunch of money. So I like to stay away from them in general, to be honest. With StackBlitz, looks like you get more messages. They have something here called web containers, which says that it allows Node.js environments to run directly in the browser. uh, which doesn't really make sense. I mean, conceptually you could do that, but then your code is exposed to the client side, so you can't put secrets in there. Like, this doesn't make sense. It's a red flag for me from a tech perspective. And then Replit, it made me pay right up front, but I understand because, hey, at least this thing works. But you have limitations, like you can pretty much just write Python right now. So for Replit, it's 25 bucks a month, and you do need to pay up front. So it is more expensive than the other tools, but at least it worked. So in comparing these tools, I've had a pretty negative experience with Bolt. Every time I tried to build an app, it didn't really work, and I ran out of tokens very quickly, and there was no way to go back to my previous chat. So not a big fan of this one. As far as V0 is concerned, I know it creates beautiful designs, and that's because it uses shadcn components. So I'm going to do another video showing you how you can do that directly in Cursor, so you don't have to do V0 and Cursor at the same time. But as far as building out a full application, this was super confusing for me. I couldn't see the code, I couldn't access the terminal, it was unclear what version of the code it was using at any point in time, and I couldn't get my application to work. Now, Replit actually built an app. It was the one that did the best job in this test. So of the 3 agent platforms, I did think Replit was the best, but it does come at a price. It has limitations to work in Python right now, and it is going to sort of nudge you into that Replit ecosystem so that you deploy using their services. They make it really easy to do that. Whereas with Cursor, you'll have a bit more flexibility to deploy wherever you want, but you're also going to need to know where you want to deploy things and how you want to customize your code. So I would narrow it down to those 2 options. So if you want to build something really quickly and easily, and you're okay paying extra money for it and it being Python, then check out Replit. But if you want to have more flexibility and customization and really get more into the weeds of the code and iterate on bigger projects and things like that, I definitely recommend Cursor as more of a power user tool. So take a look at this video if you want to learn more about all of the things that you can do with Cursor and some of their top features. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Take care.